Welcome one and all, I'm Alexis, aka The Soft Reader, and I'm here today to do my October wrap-up. In the month of October, I only read 4 books and I DNF'd one, so it was not the most successful reading month this month. I will link my Spookathon wrap-up video down below where I kind of talked about, like, I just had a really not good month this month in terms of, like, a lot of things. In terms of my physical and mental health, and in terms of, like, genuine bad luck. So I didn't really read too much this month. However, that being said, I think I read one of my new favorite books this month, so I'm happy about that. So I'll just go ahead and get into the books I read. The first one I'm going to mention is Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker. So this is like a thriller about these 2 sisters go missing, and 3 years later one of them comes back, and it's basically about trying to figure out where these girls have been and what's been going on, while also looking at this family and kind of like how awful the mother is and like how manipulative she is and how that's affected like the girls' development and stuff. I ended up giving this one just 3 stars. It was just okay to me. I thought the psychology parts were interesting, but at some point to me they kind of just got repetitive. I don't feel like we were gaining any new insight into this family. About halfway through the book it felt like it was really just reiterating stuff they had addressed earlier on. I also just didn't find the mystery of the girls in this book either that thrilling, or honestly the twist and the reveal of it, I didn't really find that shocking. It kind of happened and I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I was coming up with theories in my head of what I thought was going on, and like, this sounds so pretentious, but all of my theories were way more interesting than what actually ended up happening. And so like I was just really disappointed with the reveal in this and how it ended up happening. And I don't know, this novel I just didn't feel it didn't feel concluded and finished to me at the end of it. So yeah, this one was just okay to me. The next one I'm going to mention is the book I DNF'd this month, and that is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I made it about 130 pages into this book. I'm not completely giving up on this one. I may pick it up sometime in the future. I think I was really harsh on this book, honestly, because I was just having a terrible week when I read it. My thoughts as it stands right now is I just honestly found it really boring. So many people said this is exactly like a slasher film, and it paces like a slasher film, but 130 pages into this, I really just found the story dragging, and it spent so much time on the part that I didn't feel interested in, and I know it was all supposed to, like, you know, get there, but like I said, I just was not having a good week, and so this book just wasn't holding my interest. I also just found the characters honestly really annoying and frustrating, and they all behaved kind of immaturely for me. But again, I'm not totally against picking this one up in the future, but yeah, it just didn't work for me this month. The next one I'm going to mention is Bird Box by Josh Malerman, and I listened to this one on audiobook this month. Again, I just ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was just okay to me. What I was going into this novel expecting was more of the present part of the story, where it talks about Mallory and the kids and them journeying blindfolded, and I was kind of expecting this sensory atmospheric experience, and I don't feel like I got that, and I don't know if maybe the audiobook ruined that for me in some way, but this book takes place between the past, when this like creature is first emerging and it's causing people to die when they look at it. It takes place half in the past when it's first beginning, and then in the future as Mallory is trying to find a safer place for her and her kids. And it's like, I enjoyed the past parts. I didn't enjoy the future parts as much as I wanted to. The ending for me too was a little lackluster, considering it shouldn't have been. I don't know, again, it could have been very much an issue of like, I just was not having a good week when I read it. But this one just ended up being okay for me. The next one I'm going to mention was a reread for me, and that was Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars. I really enjoy this. This is just such a fun murder mystery, as all of Agatha Christie's books are. And I just, again, like reading this one the second time, It's so interesting to see how all the little clues and all the little hints, like right from the get-go, lead you in one direction and then another direction. And of course I still love the ending of this book when the mystery all comes together and it wraps up. And yeah, I enjoyed this a lot reading it a second time, and I absolutely cannot wait for the movie to come out. The last book I read this month, I listened to an audiobook, and I will get into that all on its own. But it's quite possibly one of my new favorite books, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Again, I listened to this one on audiobook, and I so highly recommend the audiobook. The audiobook is narrated by January Lavoie, and she does an amazing job. She does a different voice for every single character, but the voices she does are also so authentic sounding for the time period. This takes place in the 1920s, and the characters like already speak that way, but she just delivered, and so like she just does an amazing job. If you've read this book before and you didn't love it but you're interested in giving it another chance, I really, really recommend the audiobook. The audiobook is incredible. But that is not the only reason I loved this book. This book has like all of my boxes. Like, I cannot begin to explain how true that is. For those of you who don't know, the main character in this book, Evie O'Neill, has the ability of psychometry, which is the ability to read objects. So it's the ability to touch something and be able to see its history and its connection to its owner, that kind of thing. And that has always been one of my favorite superpowers. I think that is such a cool superpower. So I loved that that was Evie's power in this, and I loved the moments when she used the psychometry. That was so cool to me. I also just adored the characters in this book. I grew really, really attached to them and their stories. Definitely, I don't know, I really, really love Theta and Henry, and I love the friendship between Theta and Henry so much. And this is about a bunch of people with superpowers, which kids with superpowers is like my niche. You guys know I grew up on that X-Men, so anything even remotely close to that, I love. This book also has a lot of social commentary, so that was all super cool. This book also features a supernatural element that I found really fascinating, and I loved figuring out how it was going to play into the story. And I also just loved the religious cult, religious fanaticism aspect of the story. That to me was super, super cool, and I really enjoyed it. So I just really enjoyed this. Oh man, and I forgot to mention how cool the 1920s setting is, and you know, referencing World War I the few times it happens, but also the whole culture of 1920s America is so awesome in this book. And so yeah, I really, really liked this, and I definitely think that the audiobook was an incredible way to go. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars, and the only reason I'm not giving it a full 5 out of 5 stars is because I acknowledge that about the first 100 pages or so can get a little draggy, because it's not until you're past being introduced to the multiple points of view in this book and the, you know, multitude of characters that the story really starts to pick up. But I love books. I love third-person books with multiple narrators, so I loved it. I loved this book. I could gush about this book, and I can't wait to be able to pick up the next one whenever I get around to it, but I really, really liked this a lot. Alrighty guys, so those were all of the things I read in October. Obviously it's not a very large pile. I'm hoping November is a little bit better. I'm currently halfway through about 3 books that I meant to finish before the end of the year. This is a hint at one of them, but I definitely plan to finish those really early on in November so I can get to the many books I'm hoping to read in November. So I would love to hear what you guys read in October. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you guys soon with another one.